Yeah, and we are live now, starting off the rebellion a few minutes late, getting rolling. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the Akashic Playground. I'm so excited you're here. I'm so excited for my guest today. We are going to be talking about the timelines that we are leaving, the timelines that we are entering, and how we can live and thrive in the shift. My guest today, Kara Melendy, is truly one of my favorite humans on the planet. Y'all say hello to Kara. I'm going to read you Kara's bio, and then I'll share with you a little more behind the scenes about how Kara and I know each other. Although this woman, you're so dynamic and so amazing. I definitely want to take a moment and read from the notes. Kara Melendy, this is her, y'all. She has supported thousands of light workers, healers, and visionary women in creating spiritual wealth and financial success. She is a master at helping you tap into cosmic intelligence and connect with your unique blueprint for success so you will align to your highest path for this earthly journey. She is an astrologer, certified Akashic record practitioner. She also holds a master's degree in psychology, in addition to being trained in many different energy practices. EFT is another one that you have. I love that you listed your woo above your 3D credentials in this world, because you really, you are a studied, learned woman in the world. Her first business was a private practice as a psychotherapist, which gradually evolved into the work she's doing today. Wisdom from each of these modalities is incorporated into her work. Oh, this next part, y'all, makes me emotional because I've witnessed this myself. I've had a front row seat. Kara's gone from struggling entrepreneur who is overwhelmed with debt to reaching the 7-figure mark in her business. She's on a mission to help as many other light workers as possible do the same. She lives near the ocean with her tuxedo cat and hubby and considers herself a mermaid at heart. Kara, I love you so much. I'd love to share just a little behind the scenes of how I know you. And that is, Kara was one of the very first students in my class. As my mission grew and I began to attract other visionaries who were here to learn the Akashic records, she was part of my first Zoom classroom full of students that I've had the beautiful witness of watching you all thrive over the years, because there's an evolutionary change that happens as you do this work, and then your life, as you know, continues on this trajectory. So to witness it has been such an excitement. And you're Canadian, you live in Canada. So like I said, we met on Zoom and our paths crossed in the physical several years ago, Kara being the mermaid. We were both in Miami at the same time. And it was a Taurus eclipse, right? And isn't Taurus in both of our charts? It's our moon.
It's our moon sign. Yeah. So it's like that emotional connection. And we did not plan that at all. Like, it was just like, we were meant to meet at that time. It was destined. We even did a ceremony on the beach in the pouring rain, but it was amazing all the same.
Oh my God, it was amazing. All right. Constant professional here. I forgot to turn my do not disturb on, and somebody just tried to FaceTime me. All right, let me come back in. Thank you, everybody. Professional as I am. And Kara, it was such a beautiful meeting that we had to have. The stars were definitely aligned. We got to do that amazing moon ceremony on the beach together, and there definitely has been such a deep emotional bond between us over the years. So it's so great to have you here. Let me just shut up and let you talk for a second. Welcome. What do you want to say to everybody, Kara?
Oh, it's so good to be here, Emily. And I don't know if you know this, but I often talk about this journey of like finding the Akashic records and finding this amazing woman online. That's Emily here. Like I share that, right? And when I first reached out to you, this was many years ago now, but it wasn't even business related. I remember at that time, like it was just personal things I was moving through that I wanted your insight on. But everything started to shift in my business after connecting with you. Like these downloads just started coming in of the direction I was meant to take my brand. And I just knew I had to go deeper in the records. And that's why I, took your certification. But I remember initially just being really drawn to your energy. and how you showed up. It's like before I even knew that you did the records, I'm like, I just have to connect with Emily. You know, when we have that energy with somebody and we just know we are meant to learn something from them or meant to have a relationship with them. So, and I mean, that changed my life. Like it really did. It brought me all the way to now certifying others in the records as well, because it's just the amount of information and transformation that can happen in that space on every single level, whether our health, our relationships, our business, is phenomenal. Like I say, it's my secret weapon for what I do. Like it's incredible.
Oh, I keep getting just like waves of energy moving through my body. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you feel the call to teach others and certify others as well. So I remember when I discovered the records, I thought fascinating. Like if you can, if we can tap into all the intelligence in the universe, that makes us freaking unstoppable. Right.
Oh,
And
definitely.
so then once I recognized that I had a knack for reading it, but it wasn't just me, like all humans could do this, I saw this vision of the world of like what happens when every human on the planet remembers that this is part of our divine design. And that became, really the crux of my mission, is to help people remember that we're connected to this space, because I dream of living in a world where we're all tapped in at this level.
Totally. And I think we're moving into that world more than ever before. I mean, so many of us are already there. So if enough of us have that connection and we're operating in these higher realms and higher dimensions of consciousness, planet is shifting and we're already feeling that in an incredible way. And I'm sure we'll dive more into like the 2026 and like, I'm already feeling the shift in December, though. It's like a whole new wave of energy is coming in, and it's just all over. Whether you look at the numerology or the astrology, like so much is pointing to new timeline. Like as a collective, we are.
And 3i Atlas, dude, which is, again, we didn't plan necessarily to be live today and to be holding frequency and space together, while we have this once in a lifetime event, this opportunity to, up level our consciousness, our intelligence, our understanding of who we are. So just, what an honor to sit with you here today, girl. I also just want to say one more thing. Thank you for the accolades around the Akashic records and how my lineage has supported you. I've learned so much from you as well. You turned me on to tapping, EFT tapping, which has removed so many of the physical blockages from my body. And you and I have the kind of relationship where if there's a personal struggle in our lives, like we'll reach out to each other and be like, hey, what are you getting? What are you getting? How is this aligning? So it's just really, you're a tremendous asset to me too in my life. And I'm just so happy to have you here.
I think having that support is so key. I was thinking about that. Like Emily and I have had this thing the past year or more where because we've moved through some big stuff. So we'll reach out and just be like, can you hold space? This is what's going on. And I think we all need those connections, just knowing like I can reach out, I can share what's going on. And it's not like I'm dumping all this information on you, but just like, I've got this, but knowing that you're holding space as well, it just changes the energy instantly.
It does. Having high level friends and colleagues in your pocket that can hold space, because we're subject to the same human distortion of this field, right? And so we're not absolved of experiencing the density, the distortion, or having to move through our own karma and, what our soul has agreed to learn and move through in this lifetime. So good stuff. All right, Kara, let's play a little game. You want to play a little game?
Sure. I think I'm ready for you.
All right, y'all, I want you to help me blow up the algorithms right now. Y'all play some games too. Remember being a kid and just like your finger hitting that button on the elevator, right? Do that for me on hearts, likes, blow up the algorithms. Let us know where you're tuning in from. All right, so Kara, we are going to play a game here. This is called the Cosmic Snapshot.
Okay.
All right. You get a one-word answer. Okay.
One-word answer.
Only one-word answer. Okay. What is the one word for the astrology for the next 12 months?
Expansive.
Wow, right on. Okay. One word for what people are craving right now.
Connection.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes. Okay. What's the one word for the energy of 2026?
Mind blowing. Just
Oh,
wait.
yeah, get some. I love that. All right, Kara, I have some other questions here for you. From an astrological perspective, let's get into more of, what's coming for the next year. What do you notice that people are most excited about right now? And you even mentioned like you can feel the energies now in December. Like what
Mhm.
what are you feeling? What's coming in?
Yeah, there is a releasing of karma that we've held on to, I would say, for lifetimes. And the astrology behind this is we currently have Saturn and Neptune conjunct. So that just means they're together, they're hanging out together at the very final degrees of the zodiac. And for them to meet up in these final degrees, it's like releasing stuff we've held onto again, like I feel lifetimes. So we're going through this massive death and rebirth. And I think so many of us are looking at what is this new identity I'm stepping into and the very real humanness of that death and grief process of what we have to let go of. A lot of soul agreements are ending with this as well in relationships. This doesn't necessarily mean the relationship ends. Sometimes, yes. But it does mean, I'd love to hear if you're feeling this too, Emily, we're at an important choice point where the decisions we make now, and I don't want this coming from pressure, but they really change the trajectory we're going to walk. It's like whether we stay in this relationship, whether we stay in this old identity, the decisions we make now are key. And we know from the records, like I learned from Emily being certified in the records, there's no judgment in that space. If judgment comes in, that's our human ego. There are certainly paths that are more aligned to our highest path, I feel. And so we're at just all this energy coming together, the healing, the releasing, the death, the rebirth, and the decisions that we're now faced with as we move forward. Now, as we move into next year, February 20th, an important date to keep in mind. I'm sure the intuitives here may have already been feeling something around that date.
No, I think that's the day I'm speaking at Conscious Life Expo.
No way.
I
Oh,
think that's the day.
of
Yeah.
course. Divine timing, divine timing, divine alignment.
Sure.
So that day, we have Neptune and Saturn conjuncting at the 0 degree mark of Aries. So they're moving from the very final degree to the very beginning. And that's like new timeline, new energy, because Saturn's all about, well, more about physical 3D structure, right? Discipline, devotion. Neptune is about the ethereal, who we are beyond this physical body, this human experience. So those planets coming together at the very first degree of the zodiac, like we're understanding our creative potential in a new way, our role on the planet. So December is just this energy where we're kind of feeling it all converge, like we're sensing something really big is happening, but we're still in the releasing. Are you feeling that too, Emily? I'm
Oh my
curious, comment or anybody tuning in if you're feeling this.
Yeah, what are y'all feeling? I'll get raw and just share with y'all here because that's really what the Akashic Playground's all about. Although we're not really at that after dark part of the segment, that segment of the show yet. Y'all remember Akashic Playground. We're gonna play on the playground. We're gonna have some fun, and then we're gonna go into the Akashic Underground, the more rebellion, and then. Well, then we're supposed to go into Akashic After Dark, like the secret stuff that you don't talk about. But I'm gonna go right into that since Kara's asking and it's relevant. All right, yes, total shift in relationships, closure of old timelines for me, specifically what it looks like. Gosh, where do I even start to make this the most concise and succinct? Because my human is still going through it. So y'all, I separated from my husband, the kid's dad, back in 2019. And it was really challenging. And I think this is an important thing to talk about too, because closure is an important aspect that comes in when relationships are shifting, when timelines are shifting. And I don't know about y'all, but I was not taught the 4 steps of closure. I don't even really know what they all are right now. They just illuminated in my field not too long ago. And I realized, oh shit, I haven't, that's why I'm still hanging on to this marriage, this relationship, when truthfully, I want us both to be able to close that chapter and move on. And it's affected other relationships in my life and it's affected me. I recognize that it's again, there are 4 patterns of basically like how we deal with trauma. One is balanced and the other 4 are, or the other 3 are some way that we're out of balance. But mine is the avoidant one.
Oh, yeah.
You want to talk about those? What are those? What are those called, Kara?
Yeah, it feels like, do they maybe overlap with, like, as we're moving to grief as well, like the anger, the avoidance, or is that different? They're probably overlap, maybe.
I'm sure there's overlap there. I think this construct, like some people can get aggressive, some people can pull away.
Okay.
Right. And so I go into avoidant tendencies, which is why I avoided the completion of our divorce papers, which is so freaking weird. Y'all, we got married on December 18th. Okay. We signed the divorce papers on December 18th.
Oh.
Yeah, was that freaking yesterday?
Oh, wow.
Like fully, yeah, like fully.
Yes. Fully complete. Yeah.
Yes. And there are all the feels of that. And there's, like you said, it doesn't necessarily mean the relationship is over. I mean, this is my kid's dad, and I want to have a good relationship with him and support him and his endeavors in his life and be able to co-parent. And we, as spiritual as I am, and as much as I help other people show up in their highest, this was definitely a karmic relationship where we also got to see the darkest shadow aspects of each other. And so as I am moving into more closure, I'm moving into a place where I have deep gratitude for the souls, him and my kids, that we all walked this journey of really warring amongst ourselves and within our family, and feeling in a very raw, visceral way the devastation that caused, which having those wounds, I mean, it's important to heal them, but having them so close and present keeps my soul in a high level of integrity, not to do that again, right? To stay in alignment with my own patterns. And there were definitely things that both of us did in that relationship that were out of integrity to our highest selves and protecting our relationship. I can only take responsibility for my own, which was, oh my gosh, my nervous system was so unhealed and so unstable. And I didn't have the tools to recognize first that that's what my challenge was. I mean, I had not only anger and disappointment and resentment from this lifetime, but y'all, from our past lives, and I didn't know how to regulate or heal my nervous system in order to heal. And I took all of that, venom into my family dynamic, and it sucked. And so I have a high level of awareness not to do that again. Right. And to do my own deep shadow work. So yeah, Kara, since you asked, I thought that it was going to be, I'm putting you on the hot seat here. Thanks for shifting the gears.
That's my counseling background, right? I'm like, let's go in. How's this playing out for you? No, but thank you for sharing that, right? And I feel like in so many ways, I know we can all relate to, there's something in our life that's coming to closure. And it feels, again, like this is lifetimes in the making. And even knowing this information, I do think it's really helpful because it helps us see, like, okay, this is the bigger picture here. This is what's unfolding. But it's still very human to like move through all of it, right? And but I always love and admire how, you share your journey, Emily. Like, that's always something I admire about you. And I know I've told you this too, like, which I think is such a gift. And like, it shows all the healing is your ability to connect to emotion, like just so beautifully and express that. Like, I think that is a gift.
20 years in Hollywood, you'd hope I take something from that past life, right? Thank you. It is a gift to be in a place of full self-expression and to model that for humanity and say it's okay to let your freak flag fly, and share and like be vulnerable. Let your guard down. Totally.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a huge astrological shift that we're feeling, right?
Yes.
Huge. And the other one within it all is okay, so I'm just trying to think dates. We had so much happen this year. Like usually there's like one outer planet that's changing signs, so it's like easy to track. This year, it's like so much movement, so much change. It's just been wild. But Jupiter, so in June, mid-June, we had Jupiter move into Cancer, and it's going to be there until June of 2026 as well. And this is all about nurturing and nourishing ourselves. So in the midst of this change where we're feeling the old identities collapse, old soul agreements, relationships, either moving out of our life if we're not meant to take them forward, or the dynamic within the relationship is just shifting, right? Which that can happen too. Like, again, we have choice points. So I feel for many of us, it's like, okay, this could continue with the new energy, or we leave it, like we still have our free will. But going back to Jupiter, so Jupiter in Cancer is really about staying connected to our inner truth within it all as well. Cancer, self-nourishment, and Jupiter is the planet of abundance. So whatever sign it's in, it's going to amplify that energy. So I think we're really feeling that too. It's also in astrology jargon and terms, it's exalted in the sign of Cancer. So it's very strong. Anytime a planet is in its exaltation, we really feel that. And it's a reminder to stay connected to our intuition as we move forward as well. So we do have this beautiful, like, nurturing energy coming in, despite, the changes that we're feeling, and just like the shedding of the old from the, the Chinese zodiac, the year of the wood snake that we're in until February 17th, a shedding of the old skin. And then we move into the fire horse. Whole new energy.
Oh yeah, my clairsentience is responding to everything that you're saying. Like, I just get waves of energy and sensation and temperature moving through my body. Let me know what y'all are feeling as Kara's sharing here. Peaceful Penguin knows what's up about the 4 stages and moving through cool. Closure. Yeah, rock and roll. Thank you for that.
Nice.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah, thank you. Cool.
Yeah, and Kara, this nurturing energy. I saw someone posted a quote that I think that maybe they channeled or something. It was a mic dropper for me. You know how sometimes the verbiage just lands in a way where it's a code, right?
Yeah.
And it said something to the effect that how we treat ourselves is how the universe is going to treat us. Like, we are teaching the universe actually how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. And so this idea of the invitation to nourish the self with the abundance that's available, I think that, like, this feels like a map to me, y'all, in terms of creating wealth. And that's something that you have just had, so much success at, and you've vulnerably shared your journey and behind the scenes of what it looks like, and helping others do the same thing, which so many people, like, they'll get to that point of wealth, and it feels scary to let other people know how we got there, right? Or we get to a certain state of, like we've climbed the ladder, and we don't want to get knocked off the ladder. You're like, come on, everybody, get on up here. Let me show you how to do it. Why is it so important to you to help others create wealth?
Yeah, for many different reasons. And thank you for sharing that, because I have come so far on my journey, but it still feels like I'm just getting started in many ways. You know how both can coexist, because there's just so much that I know I still want to create and experience. And yet I'm so happy for how far I've come, because when I think of, like, initially my journey, I wanted to just ignore money and pretend it didn't exist, right? But it's our exchange on the planet right now, so we can't do that. And one of the many lessons my business has taught me is that I better look at my relationship with money. So I remember initially even being in private practice in psychotherapy and trying to grow that before going into the online world, really looking at my relationship with money. Like, what is that dynamic? And having to face that I was avoiding it, or that I was afraid to sell, or that maybe I had some taboos around money that it's not right to talk about. And
money shame.
Yeah, shame. And it wasn't serving me. So I was actually grateful for other people that came into my life, or that I would see in the online world, who openly shared their journey with money. Like, I'm so thankful, because otherwise I wouldn't have learned it. It's not like it was something that was really spoken about in my family, or that I grew up with money at all. So of course I didn't learn anything about it. So it was just like a lesson that I had to learn how to manage money, how to make money, how to have a better relationship with it. So as I went on that journey, it's like of course I want to share that with others. And I feel like at heart, I'm such a teacher. So anytime I learn something that has worked for me, it's like, I just want to tell everybody I know. And whether that's in my business or my life, it can even be when I find a new clothing product or skincare that I love, or a book I love. It's like, have you heard of this? Have you tried this? Like, I just want to share. So there's so many layers too. I also really feel passionate about light workers and healers having more money in their hands and not feeding into this old dynamic or idea of the poor creative or the healer that struggles. Like, for me in my path, it's just empowering people to have money in their hands. And maybe that's not everyone, and I fully honor we're all on our own journey. But for me, it feels like it is a piece of my mission, and it has become a big part of my message, really. And I think it's because it didn't come naturally. I did have to put in the work to get there, and I just want to break the taboos around money, because what that does, I think, is keep money in the hands of the 1% that are sharing these secrets. But if we can start to pass that around and empower one another, I mean, that's part of the shift on the planet.
Yes, 100%. I also feel like, it's part of our job to shift that dynamic, is to open up and to learn to receive and to leave behind those old stories.
Yeah.
And one area where you've really helped me, I mean, everybody, you guys can see her energy is just so peaceful and angelic and calm. And Kara would get on and do videos and say, hey, you can just choose something different. Like, you're writing your own story. I choose differently. And I'm like, hells yeah, I'm going to choose differently too. Like, she made that look easy. I'm going to do it too. And it's so beautiful that just like who you are invites us into a gentleness in our shifting. And so, yeah, thank you for showing up in that way.
Aw, thank you for reflecting that back. I do like to say that, we can just choose again, and not to, bypass that can be a sticky thing, but also maybe we don't have to make it as hard as it always is. And there are multiple timelines available to us at any moment. And if we're not happy with our experience, it doesn't mean there's not work to shift it, but it begins with that choice of what do I desire? And being bold enough to claim that and lean in, right? And that's another thing business has really taught me, and I'm so happy the records can guide me in this as well, is that continual reinvention and evolution of the self, and leaning into new edges that feel really scary. But then I think we get evidence over time that it is safe to change and it's safe to evolve, even when it's scary.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. Evidence over time is an important thing to look at. And you also talked about another perspective aspect of the journey that I think is really important. And that is recognizing how far we've come and, giving ourselves props for, the strides that we have made along the way. And you talk about, the Akashic records being able to guide you. You've also thrown down some powerful astrological intelligence. How do those two major influences in your life, how do they work together and make unique magic for you to help others?
Yeah, I find they both bring us back to our soul blueprint in many ways. The records, of course, is a way to experience our unique genius, which you talk about a lot too, Emily, right? Tap in, activate our unique genius, our soul gifts, understanding our soul journey. And astrology does that too. And so I like to bring people into the Akashic records. And then when we're in the records, looking at their birth chart, the transit. So basically your unique astrology, your energy blueprint, because it can really point out some specific things as well. I look at Mercury for communication style or messaging. And, more and more lately, I've been using it in the lens of business, but it applies in all areas, our relationships as well. We can look at placements like Venus, how we receive, what puts us in our most magnetic state, Mars, our manifesting. Every planet tells a story. So we can really look at that blueprint. And I always like to ground things into the tangible as well. So it's let's take our soul blueprint, our cosmic codes, and how do we work with them here on the earth plane, right? And it gives that really something tangible, I find, to kind of grasp onto and create from a business, it could be a strategy around, or just an application of this energy. So we're not working against our blueprint, we're working with it.
Yep.
I think it's a big shift we're going through
High
now.
five, Teach. Yep, you and I definitely have that in common in terms of the pragmatic nature of the work, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's we're tapped into these higher frequencies of intelligence, yet it's not just a cool aha moment or shift or perspective where you see life differently. Karen, we don't let you out of our classroom until you figure out what action steps you're going to take with this in your life once we get off the call. Okay? Because that's really, I mean, that's the next stage of work that's being invited to be done, this training, this Jedi warrior training, right? Is we actually have to implement it into our lives and do the practices, right? And take care of ourselves. I find that I also feel like while we always need to be mindful of our own healing work, at least I feel like I'm getting to the point where I'm getting ahead of the game. Now, what does that mean? It means that I'm doing the breath practices, the meditation, the grounding, so that I don't get triggered and come unhinged in my nervous system. Not so I'm fixing the oopsie because I exploded 10 minutes ago. Right. And so what are you noticing in terms of our maturity here on the planet when it comes to dealing with our triggers?
Oh, yeah. I love that question because it really is shifting, isn't it? And I think definitely like the self-regulation, like you talked about as well, like an awareness of our nervous system not being in overdrive all of the time. Like for a long time on the planet, we lived in survival mode. And if we look back at our evolution, that served us. It didn't develop out of nowhere, right? Like there was a time where we had to run from a tiger or a lion, or we needed that boost of adrenaline, but now we need that less and less, but it's still like our mind's default is to also go to the threats in our environment. So we have to reprogram it and upgrade it. So we're not just looking for things that could go wrong in our environment, which keeps us in that state of hyperactivity, that fight, flight, freeze, fawn. We're moving beyond that. And I think there's still some work there for it to really seep in and get into this energy of like now we're able to be in these higher states of consciousness where we're thriving and we can really look at what do I desire to create and to experience. And even I say the simple thing, but it's also like everything, welcoming in more joy, right? Like holding more joy in our body, in our field, and being safe there. Like this is something I continue to have to lean into. Like I think we all have this point where it's like I'll let this much joy in, but I can't let this, or it's just not safe. And it can come from like trauma or experiences where things happen suddenly that just threw us off course, where like things were going good and then we realize, oh my goodness, it could change in a moment's time. And then we like brace ourselves. So we have to like actively look at like best case scenario. So even what I'll do when my mind, because I'm training myself on this all the time, going to like worst case, what if, to really look at, okay, like I'm imagining worst case. What about like best case? What if this happens? And then I try to get on like a roll, or like Abraham Hicks used to say, rampage of appreciation, where I'm looking at like best case scenarios, this could happen. And then I start to feel my energy shift and I'm building momentum in a new direction.
Yeah, I love that. I had another question here for you, Kara, around moving in a new direction, because that's what we're being invited to do, right? All right. So my question is, what do you see collapsing around money, work, or success that people are still resisting?
Oh, it's interesting. A lot of old systems and structures are falling away. And I think that's where we're seeing the change in our economy. And we could go into panic around it, or we could just look at it's changing for the better and we are part of shaping that. Sometimes it feels like the messy in between, right? We're like, is it changing for the better, or we're panicking?
I love that you said that, like the messy in between. Because I feel like we are in the messy in between right now. And again, we are responsible for what direction we're going to go. And this is where the mind taming, like when Kara talked about, our default mode is to go into worst case scenario. Although as we imagine what could go right, we are uploading that possibility and consecrating it into the field, into the records together. So it really, it's a critical time where we're all on a mission and being called into this projection into what could go right. Because how we perceive the story of what's playing out here on the planet collectively creates it.
It does. Yeah. We're powerful, right? Like, I love that you bring that in, Emily, because I've been saying that as well. Like, notice where we're just reacting to what's happening. And instead, it's like step into our power and remember we're part of shaping where it goes. And we all have a role. So not just reacting, but we're shaping it, we're creating it. And I'm even, my brain thinks in astrology terms. It's like, we do have Pluto in Aquarius now as well. And that, throughout this past year. And that's where the community focus is coming in and the new world. Like, it really is. Prior to that, Pluto was in Capricorn. So, we've been in, I would say even like the last decade, we've been seeing those old systems start to crumble. Now it feels like everything's accelerated because our perception of time is changing. I feel that too. I'd love to hear what others are experiencing around that. I really get the sense that it is like we're not seeing it as much in the linear sense anymore, but the universe works in frequency and energy anyway. And we're recognizing that more than being confined by linear time. And that speeds up our ability to manifest and to create as well. But yeah, Pluto in Aquarius is a huge shift that's going to be bringing in new systems and structures where community is more important than ever before. So coming together in spaces like this is key. Not on our own. We're learning and growing together and holding the vision where it really, we can have abundance distributed differently on this planet. And it begins with a different relationship with abundance and recognizing it as part of who we are. But like, I feel that for sure. Like, Mother Gaia, like, this is a beautiful place to be. Like, we haven't come close to realizing the full potential of this earth.
Yeah, so I'm with you on that. I mean, I understand those out there who say like, I'm done. After this incarnation, I'm out. Peace out. Good times, right? Although I see so much potential for what it is that we get to create here in the new earth. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about our collective responsibility to imagine that into the field right now by taming our mind and not playing into these artificial timelines that are on the news. If y'all watch the news and you're watching what's playing out there in the projected reality, it's going to trigger your fear, the distortion in the field. Your mind is not going to be able to work in its highest potentiality to bring through the vision of the new earth. So I feel like we're shifting into this rebellious part of our show where we talk about the other things that aren't being talked about and holding ourselves more accountable. Where do you think we as humanity need to hold ourselves more accountable, Kara?
I think it does come back to recognizing that we are part of the collective energy, and as light workers and healers, we come in and like, I always had this experience of knowing that I chose to be on the planet. And like, I love Mother Gaia. I love being here, but also kind of feeling foreign. I remember that as a kid. It's like, what is this? Who are these people? But then knowing like, oh, I am meant to be here. So, I guess to say our souls are here for a reason. And I think it's owning that power more. Like, it just goes back to less reacting, more creating. Power to the people. That's Pluto in Aquarius as well. The more that we recognize the power we hold. And when I say power, I use that word a lot. I know it can be charged. I think we're changing the definition of power on the planet. I don't mean the way power has been used in old systems of like power over, a manipulation and misuse of, like, not that at all. I mean a power that's connected to source energy, our truth, love, and bringing that forward, I actually think is really important on the planet. So changing the definition to power, which it should have never been, like we saw anyway, to a new understanding of it. Yeah.
Yep. I'm finding syntax is so important because that's one of the ways where we've subtly given away our I like the word power myself, but I agree with you. There are some people that don't feel comfortable stepping into power, or this is about stepping into your authority, your divine authority and your sovereignty as a being, which, I just think is so incredibly important. And so when our mind is subtly tricked through syntax,
Mm.
right? To shy away from things. This is how the dark versus the light, like whether you talk, whether they're the archons or the Kabul or the demons or your own shadow energy, I don't care what interpretation of it, we're all going to face that polarity, that duality here that helps us.
Yeah.
And eventually we get to the point where we realize, oh, all I have to do is reframe that. Right. And think of it differently. And so congratulations to us as humans that we're at that stage now. We recognize, oh, there's that story, that thought form again. I don't have to choose that thought form. I can choose a different thought form. And once we program ourselves with the proper thought forms, then, you know, it's our brain's function. It's its job to answer the questions that we ask. So the questions that we ask are super important because your brain's going to go seeking evidence for whatever question you ask. So don't ask questions like, why am I so broke again this month? Because your brain will go looking for the answers to that.
We'll always find it. We'll find the answer. And then we build up this data bank of like, see, I've got all this proof. It's like, we just need to switch the lens, new perspective, higher self-embodiment. And again, I get that's the work. Like we're all in this, but that is huge though, looking for new evidence, because we live in a world where the evidence is there. The evidence of you being abundant and thriving, we just got to train ourselves to see it. And then it gets easier in time. I've been doing a lot of that work the last couple of years in like all levels of my life. Like if I'm wanting to create something different, starting to look for just even like the little moments every day that show that reality is already here. And it's amazing how quickly it can shift.
Yeah. Well, can you give us like a personal example? Will you tell us a personal story about doing that and what it looked like?
Oh my goodness. In so many areas. I mean, you know, even I feel like I'm at a time now where, you know, things are flowing so beautifully in my business. And yet I feel like I've changed so much over these past few years that it's also time for like a reinvention for me. Right. It's like at this turning point. I mean, it was so much I went through with my husband, Connor, and like his illness and that sickness and like running my business at the same time. There was such a strength I had to tap into throughout that. And, you know, I guess like I could have gone into like a victim thing. Like it's so hard for us. It's always something, one thing after another. But instead, I chose to look at like, how am I called to grow within this experience as he moves through, you know, major surgeries and like all of this, to continue holding on to knowing that I can grow through this, that I am still loved, that things are working out. And it doesn't mean it wasn't hard, but through it all too, I saw, wow, like that inner work is paying off, like in the sense of like, I'm still here, I'm still growing. And I've been able to strengthen my mind to actively look for like, what is working for me instead of like, life sucks. What did we do that we're being punished, or like the karma? It's like, no, I mean, we've grown. It's even like as individuals stronger than ever because of those experiences, like just finding a newfound strength and confidence and reassessing what really matters too, right? Like what matters and what really doesn't.
Yes, 100%. Like priorities, and like I can be very driven by success and accomplishment and what it is that what cool project it is that I'm gonna work on next, right? Yeah. And that definitely has been something that I've looked at over the past several years and prioritize differently, because I definitely have experienced burnout over the last couple of years. Does any burnout come through your field? I mean, I will say this. We've known each other for like over a decade, Kara, and I have had mentors, business mentors and spiritual mentors that I have seen burn the F out, like disappear on the internet for years. I'm like, where did they go? And while I've experienced like some exhaustion, some burnout, I haven't had like the pivots. You haven't had the pivots. I've seen us both stay really consistent over the past 10 years, but doesn't mean, like you said, there haven't been challenges. Did you experience burnout?
Oh, I mean, waves of it, maybe like you said, waves of it. So how I see it is, I love what I do so much that it is life-giving to me. Like it's life-giving in many ways. I love it. And if it no longer is, that is where I pivot. So it is that reassessment of like, what's draining me? Because I find burnout happens when we're giving more than we're allowing ourselves to receive. So it's giving and giving, but the universe is always wanting to bless us and give to us, but are we letting it in? So yeah, I think I've had waves of burnout, but not like I've seen the same. I've seen people just fully drop off, have these 8-figure businesses that they walk away from because they're like this, and maybe, you know, that's their path. Like, again, I fully believe all on our own path, but I also see it as I really want to build a legacy more than fleeting success. So again, like I'm so happy with everything I created in my business, and yet it still feels like there's so much more. Like I'm just getting started, even though I'm so grateful. So it's that long-term vision that is really big as well. And I mean, very, you know, self-care as well. Like just knowing what replenishes me and prioritizing that. That's really important to me. Like even having those times, like even just, and I know it sounds simple, and self-care does go so much deeper than this, but maybe it's my Cancerian energy. I'm a water sign. I'm a Cancer sun, Venus and Mercury. I have a bubble bath every night, and I have this beautiful like tub that I love, like a jet tub, and I have candles in there. And it's like as soon as I get in the water, I feel my body relax. So in the summer, you know, it can be pools or ocean. In the winter, it's the tub, but it works.
Well, I have definitely noticed your priority on self-care and how that relates to the expansion of your business. And being an entrepreneur, man, is so fun. And I'm realizing as we're talking here, neither one of us were trained professionally before we started doing this work to be entrepreneurs. I was an actress, right? You've got like high-level degrees in psychology. You're out there working in, you know, the mind medicine of the planet. And so when we both had the soul calling to show up and teach and to help others in this field, we had to learn business along the way.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite mentor-isms along the way is like entrepreneurship is a game of treading water. It's who can tread water the longest with the brick above your head, right? So I know you've learned so much about entrepreneurship through this journey. What kind of entrepreneurs do you think are going to get left behind when it comes to 2026 and how we're shifting? Maybe what mindsets do you think just aren't going to work for entrepreneurs anymore?
Yeah, I think they're, like you said, with the, you know, just treading water, even there is a persistence that we need to have and an adaptability. I think those will always hold forward because the world is changing. We are shifting all of the time. I always say like the entrepreneurial journey is like the self-growth course. I'm like, I love personal growth development. So sign up to be an entrepreneur because I'm constantly bumping up against belief systems, patterns that I have to shift in order to grow. So I think that is a big thing. I think we really have to be passionate for what we're doing, or else it's not going to be sustainable. That's where eventually we walk away, even if there's external success. This doesn't mean we always love everything we do. So I don't want to put that out there either. Like I look at the bigger picture. So I like to ask myself, is this moving me toward the vision? Would my future self thank me for this action? So there's certainly times that I might not feel like showing up and doing the reel. Or like, you know, or posting, but I'm grateful that I did. So I'm looking at the bigger picture. So there are those moments. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm loving every second, but overall, I think we really have to have a passion for what we do. We need a bigger mission, and Year of the Fire Horse has a lot to do with adaptability. So in Western astrology, I see it anyway, is relating to like the Gemini Sagittarius axes. And Gemini is all about flexibility. And you're the Gemini, yeah. So those traits, those archetypal energies of being willing to pivot, not staying too long. If something isn't working, it's like get the data, pivot, be willing to grow, be willing to evolve. Like that energy is going to be key.
Learn fast, implement quickly.
Yeah.
Another favorite mentorism. That one came from Ron Malhotra along the way.
It's true, you know, and I've had to work on that because I am someone like Cancer. I'm a Cancer Taurus for my astrology lovers. So I love security, and I can sometimes sit with things a little bit too long. And I mean, Like I'll still move, but I agree. I think the quicker we're able to kind of move and take action and we're not wasting energy and indecision, it's going to be a good thing. And we're going to feel better too.
Yeah. All right, let's move into some like more about Kara Melendy. Let's get into some intimate stuff about you in the after dark section.
Okay.
In terms of building wealth in your life, where did you really have to work to feel safe in order to get to the place you are now?
Honestly, like lots of nervous system work. Something I've been doing a lot of lately, and I love to do this in the records, is breath work. And it's so powerful. Like obviously with a background in psychology, I had heard of breath work for a long time, but not like the deep breathing. You're in a session for like an hour and you're just focused on your breath, like breathing in and out through your mouth. Like that's been a game changer, for me. So there's many tools. EFT again is one of my favorites. So nervous system regulation is key because it almost all comes back to safety. So and initially, like I had a big quantum leap in my business. So like, more than doubling, I would say that was big for me, more than doubling my income in a year. It was a game changer. Things forever changed since that point. So that was a big leap at once. I would say, though, I did have the energetic foundation for it because I was affirming it along the way. So we can all do this, right? It's like energetically, emotionally preparing to hold what it is we desire. So, with money, with abundance, it was doing that inner work as well as identity work, really affirming of like, an affirmation. I got this from a podcast. I think Denise Duffield. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name, but I try to give credit if I can. But then this was years ago. She had this affirmation of like, look in the mirror and say, this is the face of a wealthy woman. And I really started to do that because a big identity shift I had to make was that people that had money were fundamentally different from me. So beginning to see that this is the face of a wealthy woman, I can still be me. I can be feminine. I can be soft. I can be all these things that maybe I thought wouldn't work. And yet it can work and I can have money. And we all can, right? It's like we can all affirm that.
Oh, yes. I like totally felt the chills go through my body. And I've heard you say that before and have done it before. I'm like, oh, yep, this is the face of a wealthy woman.
It's a good one because it's that identity work of like, this is me. Like, this is the face, like claiming it for yourself. Yeah.
And identity work is not easy. So I'm curious, what does it feel like for you in your body, Kara, as you're shifting identities?
That's a good question. I'm like, how does it feel in my body? It's like this excitement, but I could frame it as like a nervousness all at once. You know how those energies can feel the same in your body. So I choose to create the narrative of excitement while honoring that there's a part of me that may be afraid. But it's like this heightened energy that maybe I'm not used to quite like holding yet, but that's what I'm expanding into. And it's something I actually just started this a couple of days ago, doing a branding board where I'm picking like these for tangible tools, picking these images to really feel into who is this next like iteration of Kara, this new identity, and just having the visual there.
Well, what'd you put on the board, Kara? We want to know what you put on the board.
I guess gotta be like, you gotta see it to feel it. It really is more like a refinement of my brand, but I'm really stepping into like the glam. I want to really play up, which is me, like the glamour, the luxury, and but that work of like the depth and the alchemy too. So it's kind of just this new energy, I guess, of a new understanding of spirituality and like our world today and what that can really look like. But follow along to see the new visuals.
Yeah. And Kara, let's plug you real fast. Where can they come follow along with you?
Yeah. So Instagram, just my name, Kara Melendy. I'll pop up. I actually still do a lot on Facebook too. So again, Kara Melendy. I'm on YouTube as well. And I recently, like this past year, did a podcast, Born for the Stars. And so that one's called Born for the Stars, which that just felt in alignment with the shift of Jupiter into Cancer, where it's exalted. I've been wanting to do a podcast for a while, but it wasn't feeling right. It wasn't like procrastination it just literally didn't feel like fully landed. until that timing. And then I'm like, okay, it's time to run with it. So that one's Born for the Stars. And yeah, I'm doing a lot. I'll have to get Emily on there as well.
Yeah, you know what? Come on, girl. We had some fun on there. I can't wait.
Yeah, totally.
All right, Kara. Well, as we are wrapping up here today, I have one last question for you. Tap in and channel some insight and some guidance for those of us humans who are standing on the edge of a timeline right now. So if somebody is standing on the edge of a timeline shift or a crossroads, and really, I mean, I think probably all of humanity is right now, right? Because we're on this crux. What is it that we most need to hear?
What I'm hearing coming through now is the reminder that you've got this. You've done this before. You know, on a deep cellular level, how to change, how to evolve, how to grow. Lean into that remembrance, and you're not alone. Your spirit team is there. Your higher self is guiding you, and you have support from beautiful communities like this. So begin to tell that story of, you know how to transform, you know these cycles of death and rebirth, and you know you're going somewhere beautiful. Declare it, anchor it in.
Yes.
So it is.
The codes moving through my body as you were speaking that. Thank you for that incredible activation. And it's still just the way. It's the truth of knowing we've trained for this, not only in this lifetime, in past lifetimes. And we're here together now. It's go time. It's fun. You're so right. We know how to change. We know how to do the work. We know how to master our mind, and you know how to ask ourselves the right questions.
Yeah.
And let's go do it, y'all. Thank you, Kara, so much.
This was so fun.
All right, y'all, go check out Kara Melendy. You can find her again on Instagram and Facebook. She's very active in those places and has awesome things going on YouTube. I love watching your new and full moon updates, and of course the podcast Born for the Stars.
It's a new moon today.
Of course it is. Of course it is. And I also, I just love how our paths are so intuitively aligned and cross, and it's beautiful to have you in my life, my friend.
I feel the same. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everybody for being here. All right, we'll see you guys next time.